So what I'm going to show you today is how we can control DLSS 5 for everything you see on the screen. Characters, elements, and props, as well as the full environment. Before I do that, I'm going to show you, I'm going back to what Ed has mentioned, that DLSS 5 is basically enhancing the frame, and it's respecting the render frame. It is not changing the geometry in any way, and it's uplifting the image. If we take a look at this example here, you can see that when we turn DLSS 5 on this character, for example, It's gaining better contrast, better ambient occlusion, better contact shadows. I want you to pay attention to the ears, for example, how they gain subsurface scattering that's previously missing. Or look at the ambient occlusion between the top of the head and the piece of cloth on the top of his head. And the eyes gain better reflections. So as you can see, DLSS 5 is fully respecting the render frame and is just enhancing it. Now that we've seen that, I'm going to show you the controls that we're building in DLSS 5 to art direct the frame. I'm going to start from broad level of controls, and I'm going to show you how we can get very granular with how we can control what DLSS 5 is doing to the frame. The first set of controls is actually the models itself. So DLSS 5 has different models. As you can see in this frame here, we have different models, model A, B, C. They have different output because they're trained on different parameters. When a developer picks a model, you're not locked into one. And the theme that you're going to see in all my presentation here is that you can sort of mix and match whatever you want. So picking a specific model does not lock your whole game, for example, into one. You can pick a model for a scene, a model for a different scene, a model for a cut scene. So you can pick whatever suits you. Then some more global controls. We have structure intensity as well as tone intensity. So structure intensity is modulating the high frequency detail of the frame, and tone intensity is modulating the low frequency detail of the frame. A simpler way to think about it is structure intensity is basically adding things like better ambient occlusion, better subsurface scattering, and better reflections. Whereas tone intensity is a bit more expressive and is impacting the lighting, is enhancing the lighting. As you can see, if we move the tone slider, it's changing the colors because it's effectively changing the subsurface scattering and the lighting. So these are global controls that, again, enhance the whole frame. Now, I'm going to show you some controls that we have. There's two different levels of controls. There's controls that come from the engine side and controls that come from the model side. Because DLSS 5 is a smart model, it understands what's in the frame. So this, for example, is a model automasking. The model understands the character, the base character itself, and we can use the slider to control the intensity at which DLSS 5 is being applied just on the base character, as you can see. And this is coming entirely from the model side. I want to show you one more example of that. In this example, DLSS 5 is off on the environment, and we're just turning it on, again, just for the character, because the model understands which one is the character. So this is coming entirely from the model side, because the model understands the semantics of the scene. What I'm going to show you here is an example of the same model with different structure intensity. You can see that structure intensity 25% is obviously closer to the render frame. We have a midpoint, and then we have 95%, which is closer to the maximum uplift that DLSS can provide. So again, you can see that the developer has the option to pick whatever intensity they prefer for their final frame. And next, I'm going to show you sort of the opposite of that. I'm going to show you the same structure intensity, but with the different models. Again, different models give different outputs because of the training parameters being different. And now that we've taken a look at characters, I'm going to show you how DLSS 5 is also enhancing the rest of the scene. So in this example here, OK, let's say we want to, again, enhance the whole scene. But OK, actually, we don't want to do that. Let's say we want to enhance specific items in the scene. These are controls that come from the engine side. Here we've masked, for instance, the pitcher, the grapes, and the bottles. And these are implemented on the engine side. And you can mask as you see fit. So you can have as many masks as you want. And as you can see, we can control the sliders independently. Each item can be adjusted in intensity and tone completely independently from each other. So you can completely art direct whatever item in the scene you basically want DLSS 5 to enhance or not enhance. And one more example from one of our scenes. Here, we have grouped the bottom part. As you can see, the whole cutting board, the props at the top. And again, completely masked. The rest of the environment is not being affected. Here we can control. You can see DLSS 5 is adding better reflections. As you can see, better contact shadows onto the ground. For the bottles, you'll see much better translucency in the bottle, better metal reflections. And those are just the elements that we're uplifting without touching the rest of the scene. Again, tone intensity, structure, everything can be tweaked as the developer sees fit. And last but not least, what I want to show you is how DLSS 5 can enhance the whole environment, in this case, the foliage scene. And as you can see, this scene looks very nice. It is a ray trace scene, but it still looks a little bit plasticky. And when we turn DLSS 5 on, as you can see, the plants come to life, and they look really photoreal. That's because DLSS 5 is adding subsurface scattering. And that's something that, as you know, traditionally would be incredibly expensive to do in traditional rendering. And DLSS 5 is taking the image to the next level. Again, here we could control the intensity that we wish fully. So what I hope I showed you today, and this is just a small glimpse of the control we have, but what I hope you get away with is the fact that DLSS 5 is fully controllable from the developer. We have a lot of controls. We are building more, and we're working with our partners to incorporate their feedback so that DLSS 5 becomes a tool for the artists, the art directors, and the creative directors to basically able to have their vision be reflected into the final frame. Thank you.
Thank you, Gav, for demoing for us. Yeah, well, you just saw the whole idea. The frame really defined what has to remain, and Gav, the artist, directed what could change. And control and artistic direction is a really exciting research for us, and this is something we will continue iterate and work on based on the developer feedback that we receive. All right. So AI has been applied in real-time rendering for a few years now, and there's broadly two major categories. The first one is reconstruction. And the job of reconstruction is to recover the ground truth reference rendering that was assuming if the render has no resource limit, the perfect render, the perfect image. And current DLSS suite are some of the best small real-time models for that. And then we also have function approximation. It's technologies like neural radiance cache, neural materials. They use tiny neural networks to approximate some far more expensive computation. And DLSS 5 is adding a third. It's generation. Because right now, the model actually changes and generates the final appearance in the image. And artistic direction now becomes the new ground truth. Now, remember the chart that I showed you earlier? The one with the missing curve? Here it is. Historically, our lever for scaling up the image quality is to scale up the render. More rays, higher resolution textures, more triangles, and those still matter. A better grounding will give DLSS 5, a better rendering will give DLSS 5 a better grounding to start with. But DLSS 5 adds a second lever now, because now if we scale up the model, the image realism and fidelity will also improve. And the more exciting thing here is that even if we don't scale up the model size, improvement on the offline training side, such as better training data, better loss functions, just improvement in the training dynamics, will also translate to a direct improvement in image fidelity at runtime without any additional cost. And it's also worth calling out that even though we're at the curve of path tracing right now, every one of the curves previous to that is still alive. We're still writing all of them. And DLSS 5 is the same. It extends existing pipeline. It does not replace them. And I also want to be clear that we're not claiming we have solved real-time photorealism. True photorealism is still ahead of us. Right now, the animation does not get uplifted the same degree as appearance. And eventually, we want the model to be able to generate more and more realistic images. And DLSS 5 really sits at one end of a much wider generative spectrum. It's optimized for games. It's really tightly grounded. It's real-time. It's causal. And on the other side, the interactive video foundational models, it's a whole different story. And out there, it gets even trickier on what the model what must stay true. We don't have every answer, but what we do know is that the more the model can offer and can generate, the more control it will have to offer for it to be something useful and valuable. And that is wide open research opportunity for the SIGGRAPH community. And this curve really is just getting started. We're still on the steep part. So that's DLSS 5, a new level of realism. Simulation defines the world, generation enriches its appearance, and artists direct the outcome. Not AI replacing graphics, AI extending graphics, the same way programmable shaders and ray tracing has extended graphics before. Every pixel in a game is there still because somebody wants it to be there. DLSS 5 was built to keep it that way. And we're shipping it this fall.